Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll introduce a three-step model you can apply in writing your essay introduction. A common approach I often observe students taking when writing their essay introduction is to use the context of the topic of the essay to introduce their writing. So as an example, let's consider how helpful the context of this video is as a means of introducing it. I had a creative idea as to how this video might be realised, but it needed high production value. Shooting all scenes on location outside, learning how to use my new camera shooting on manual in these different locations, and troubleshooting the many technical problems I would have no doubt encountered along the way. In the end, I decided that instead of trying to make the perfect video on essay introductions, which would have taken several weeks, I'd make a simple video introducing the principles by talking to camera instead. So, as you were listening to that context, how many of you were tempted to click off the video? The problem with using context as the primary or sole feature of an introduction is that it introduces the topic but not the essay itself. It doesn't tell the reader anything about the writing that follows. Essentially, it doesn't indicate the direction of travel the reader will take as they read. And this can be confusing for a reader because, unlike the author, they don't know what form the content will take in the essay. Just as the problem with context introducing this video gives the viewer no indication as to what they might learn and whether it will be of use or interest to them or not. Now, when I said I would use context as a means of introducing this video, I told a fib, because if we look back, I actually clarified the form this video would take in saying, in this video, I'll introduce a three-step model, and knowing the form of writing can help the reader to navigate through the content. So the first distinction I might draw in this video is that the form of writing and the content are different elements. How might we use this information to inform how we write an essay introduction? Well, this is where the three-step model comes in. Imagine the reader of your essay as someone who is taking a journey. Before they embark on the journey, they need to know several things. They need to know their destination, where they are heading. They need to know how they will get there, the route. And it's also useful to know some general information that may be relevant. For example, to decide what clothes to wear, it may be useful to know if it will rain or how hot it will be. We might express this concept in academic writing as follows. Number one, the answer to the question or the main conclusion. This is the destination of the reader. Two, the main points of argument, the essay map. This is the roadmap the reader will use to navigate the essay. And three, brief context relating to the content. Here I've ranked the three steps by importance, but there's flexibility as to the order of these elements in an introduction. Let's break down the three-step model and examine each element in a little more detail by applying this to an example introduction. So here's the hypothetical essay question. In what ways might adult learners encounter more challenges in meeting their educational goals than their younger peers? Answer in no more than 1,500 words in the form of an essay. And this is the example introduction. Pause the video here to read this at your own pace and see if you can spot the three-step model where I state the answer, the argument, and the context. Let's break this essay introduction down together. The first couple of sentences tell us some information about the number of adult learners and identify retention as an issue relating to the question. This is contextual information about the topic of the essay, challenges preventing adult learners reaching educational goals, but it is brief and to the point. Did you spot the link or signpost back to the question here? This is showing the reader how this context is relevant to a discussion of the question. It's important to establish explicit links back to the question for the reader so they don't have to make the connections themselves. This sets out the reasoning of the author's argument in a clear way within the writing itself. Essentially, it sets out the author's thinking process in writing, a very important feature of academic writing in general. After the context, there are several sentences which outline a roadmap of the argument presented in the body of the essay. From this, the reader can anticipate the form of the content of the essay. Several paragraphs exploring unexpected life events, time management, student support from family, employers and the educational provider, motivation and transferable skills. There are two indications that these areas will be explored critically. The end of one sentence suggests that identifiable challenges impact study, but also how intervention can alleviate these challenges. More on this later, but this point links to the main conclusion drawn. There's also a signpost to a counter-argument, some of the advantages that adult learners can bring to their studies. This argument roadmap leaves no uncertainty as to what the reader will encounter whilst reading the essay. The main conclusion, the answer, sometimes known as a thesis statement, is a clear and direct response to the question and the glue which holds all aspects of the argument together. We can explore this by examining a hypothetical challenge an adult learner might face: lack of meaningful support from their family and employer. The main conclusion indicates that it's possible for an educational provider to make an adjustment for this by providing flexibility on assignment deadlines and providing training on time management to optimise the time the student does have available to study. I've identified this sentence as the main conclusion to the reader by using the word concludes as a signpost. Remember how earlier in the context of the paragraph I referred to a possible conclusion which supported the hypotheses in the question. The main conclusion refines this by acknowledging that once the argument is fully explored, a more nuanced position is reached. Additionally, the argument roadmap anticipates the main conclusion by acknowledging the impact of interventions. Finally, a note on word count. My introduction is 146 words, which is between 5 and 10% of the total 1500 word essay, and this percentage is a rough guide of what to aim for. Presentation-wise, the introduction is contained within one paragraph. I hope that seeing this example has helped you to visualise what the three-step model looks like in practice. Remember that writing an essay introduction involves differentiating the form and the content of an essay, and how applying the three-step model of answer, argument and context can help the author to communicate their intentions in the essay to the reader. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more study content. Thanks for watching.